Well, good morning. Today is September 20th. This is Talent Talk. We are here to serve, and my name is Jurgen Robinson. And with me today, to the left, or is it to the
Oh, I'm like, yeah. Good morning. I'm Davina. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. And you know what? I was just looking. So this. Oh yeah. And Steve. Hey.
Hey,
Kid.
good morning, everyone. It's your boy, Steve.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I literally went like out. Was just completely sidetracked because I just looked at my computer, and my computer is gonna die in a minute. And I'm hoping we can get through this broadcast before I zonk out. So that was just help. If I absolutely go blank, I'll pop back in on another device here. But just a heads up. Just a heads up.
Okay. You know, it's good to know because we have some excitement here today. Good morning, Donna. We have an exciting guest, and good morning, Pat. Hope you're feeling well. Everything is when we do Mondays, we typically try to bring a guest on that gives a little bit of enlightenment. Oftentimes it is an affiliate within the real estate industry because we can help you understand what's going on in the market, but we also want to help you understand other aspects that deal with real estate as well. And today we have somebody as a guest who is going to actually, you know what he does is highly overlooked. But if we look at the National Association of Realtor statistics, it's one of the top 3 skills. He's an educator. He's an instructor. He's a teacher. It's one of the top 3 skills that people look for in their agent. So what is it? What is it that this man does? Steve, what does he do?
I'm excited to have this guy on because everyone is looking, if they're buying or selling, what are they looking for in their agent? They are looking for a negotiation expert.
That is right. That is right. We talk about, negotiators can get terrorists, hostages. We need negotiators in real estate, and that is what we are here to do for our clients, and we must do it well. And this guy that we are bringing on is actually an expert that has been teaching negotiation for 14 years. He actually led a top producing team in a brokerage, and he is actually actively practicing real estate and has been for the last 18 years. And so it's like, who wouldn't want this guy to be their real estate agent? But he actually teaches the tools to help us win for our clients and become better professionals.
And Davina, one of the things is if you look in a library, there are a ton of books on negotiation. I've read a bunch, but all 3 of us have gone through a class with him, and it's fantastic. There is a difference between reading a book and actually going into a class and applying that, and then taking what you just were working on with not only yourself, but with a group of people together, and then being able to take that skill set out and then start to apply it to serve your clients and actually make things a lot better for the people you're serving.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
And Jared has in this vein, Jared has a question for us, a trivia question, like we always do. What is that trivia question?
So trivia question, which always leads into our guest, and I'm sure we'll probably be talking about some of this, is what percentage of licensed professionals have had any kind of negotiation training? And we've got a few multiple choice answers for you. Is it less than 5%? Is it 10%, 22%, or 13%? Drop your answer in the comment section. We'd love to hear, and we'll give you the answer at the end of the show.
Yes. All right, then with no further ado, Davina, you did a great introduction before the trivia question. So why don't we introduce, and making sure that I'm on the right one, why don't we introduce our guest, Greg Markov?
Hello, Greg.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Totally we're excited. And I just and I don't know, I don't have to take the first question, but I do want to say before the first question is that, Greg, you did these classes for us, and you and Jurgen had said we had taken these, but you actually made me a better person. And so I just off the top want to say thank you for doing that. So
well, thank you, Davina. Thank you. It's I was just thinking as I was in the back room, kind of warming up and stretching and doing that whole thing with the wings. I was just thinking how interesting it is that I was teaching some classes in Bellingham, which I've never been to before in my life, and fell absolutely in love with, and met some really incredible people, including some owners, John L. Scott owners, who basically were there and loved the content, loved the value, and they ran me up to the line, and they said, this guy has to talk at our conference. So I got the honor of presenting at the annual conference. And from there, just kind of got involved with local branches. I do a lot of private classes for John L. Scott, and it really I consider it to be one of the best fortuitous things because I've always thought the logo was cool. Whenever I travel to the Northwest, but now that I've worked with the company, you guys truly have like something special in the culture, in the vibe of the people, and it's been really, really great. So what I'm saying is thank you for having me. It really is a privilege to be involved with such a great organization, truly.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I know, right? So I guess just in starting it off. So what is, and we're talking about, okay, everyone knows we're talking about negotiations, and you are a national trainer for the Certified Negotiation Institute.
Yes.
And what is negotiations, in real estate?
Yeah. I think that's an interesting question, and obviously an evolving one, right? I mean, I've been teaching for the Institute for 14 years, and we were just chatting before this started. The first class I taught for the Institute was a short sale negotiation class, right? And it's like, hey guys, let's promote a short sale negotiation class. I can tell you right now how many people are going to register for it. Why? Who cares? What's a short sale? Who wants to do one? And so on and so forth, right? And of course, that demand was huge in 2008, 9, 10, and so on when we were doing short sales. But now people are like, I don't care about that. Tell me how to compete against multiple offers. The market is so hot, right? And market has shifted so much in the last 15 years that we're teaching completely different things. But here's the deal, you guys. Richard Schell, who's a professor at Wharton University, makes the following statement. He says, in my opinion, negotiation is 10% skill or technique and 90% attitude, right? And that's the incredible thing about negotiation. It's not really the kind of topic where I know everything and you don't, right? Like if you take a class from like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? He is obviously the expert that knows a lot of things about astronomy that I wouldn't. In a negotiation class, it's a little bit different because a lot of things that we are talking about, you guys are like, well, I already do that. Or I've had somebody do that to me. I just had the car salesperson pull that trick on me, right? But it's 90% attitude. It's understanding how to apply, how to read the room, how to, what works, what doesn't. What makes you a more effective negotiator? Is it being a bully and a total like hard nose, right? Or is it leading with collaboration? Is it leading with asking questions and being friendly and complimenting the other side, right? One of the things that we talk about. So I think it's really, really a fascinating topic, which I think, frankly, is why I'm still here after all these years. I still love it. I'm still learning things. I'm still reading new books that are coming out every single day. And it kind of is the renaissance of negotiation training ever since Getting to Yes came out in 1981.
That's good.
Yeah, we just.
Oh, Greg, you're saying something about negotiation, and I almost feel like is there like a right or a wrong way to negotiate, or is it like situational in the sense that when you're dealing with people and asking the right questions?
Steve, that's such a great question, and you always I remember you've always asked such great questions. One of my favorite metaphors on the subject of negotiation, actually one that I usually open my class with, comes from a gentleman named Michael Wheeler. Michael Wheeler is a professor at Harvard University. So Kennedy Law School is where a lot of the negotiation curriculum is kind of being forged. Of course, getting to yes, Roger Fisher, William Ury are also two Harvard guys. Most of like the top tier of instructors at the Real Estate Negotiation Institute also did the Harvard program. I did. So the metaphor Michael Wheeler says for negotiation training is this. He says, you can think of negotiations like jazz. Here's why. If classical musicians sit down to play a piece of music, Steve, to your point, like, is there a right note and a wrong note? Yes, there is. We all know that, right? If you have a kid that's learning how to play an instrument, you know what a wrong note sounds like. It's like you could be 3 rooms over and they hit it and you're like, ugh, that is bad, right? That's the wrong note. Jazz is different because jazz is all about improvisation, right? Yes, there are still wrong notes in jazz. Improvisation does not mean, free form, unless you're listening to some really obscure avant-garde music or something like that. But improvisation means that every single time you set out to play a piece of music, it will sound different. Miles Davis, one of the greatest jazz musicians of all time, said, I have never played the same piece of music twice the same way ever, right? Why? Because it's all about improvisation. Now, is Miles Davis a genius, and does he know how to improvise better than probably a lot of his peers, or at the time, did he? Yes, of course, right? Jazz musicians are some of the best trained, most intelligent musicians out there. But it's the same for real estate transactions, Steve, right? Buyers looking to buy, sellers looking to sell. We have a theme. We kind of sort of know what is happening here. But be honest, you guys, right? Is every single real estate transaction different? Absolutely. Right? That's why every single negotiation is going to be different. So in some cases, if you're reading the room, maybe using what we call a competitive tactic, right, is the better approach to maximize your gain. But more often than not, it is not the best approach. More often than not, the collaborative approach, the integrative approach, where all parties' interests are brought together and reconciled, is the better way to do it. But which way should you do on that one transaction that you're thinking about right now, Steve? It depends.
Makes sense.
Greg, I really, really like that. And I knew at some point we were going to get into that little spot that you got to. And you talk about a bad note, you know it when you hear it because it's sharp. It's just out of key. It's obvious. But for somebody like Miles Davis to get to a point where he can be improvisational, that he can actually read a room, similar, like you'll let us know. And in the class, it's so phenomenal. So many different skill sets or knowledge points that you give in negotiation. But for somebody to be able to read a room, what is the key? You can have all these tools, but what's the key to actually being able to read a room so that you know what's the appropriate negotiation technique to use in a situation?
Wow. Another great question. You guys. Jürgen, I think one of the biggest ahas and revelations that my students consistently have at the end, and it's a 15-hour class, right? And even that, when we're done, seems like, oh my God, that was so much information, right? It's not like, well, we take one thing and we stretch it out for 15 hours. No, this is content from some of the best top schools in the world. One of the biggest revelations my students have is about asking questions. Is about asking questions, about being conversational, right? When I survey people, like, what are you going to change? What the top answer usually is, I am now asking more questions. I am engaging the other side. I am being friendly. And yes, listing agents can be kind of bullies and jerks, but you know what? I am currently, and get this is actually crazy. You guys will all chuckle about this. I am in escrow on a property right now that I'm representing some clients that we've looked for a long time. And of course, they ended up buying something completely different than what they were looking for in a completely different part of the world and blah, 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 blah. But, it's a higher price range. So the listing agent has to be present. The moment we walk into this high-rise tower, she looks at me and she goes, oh, I've taken your class. And I'm like, Well, okay, so now I have some credibility, but guess what, right? She keeps saying, she's like, well, you're the expert negotiator, so you're probably thinking, and I'm like, so I had to reframe this whole thing, right? I actually had to interrupt her, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm a master collaborator. just to reframe it in a more non-threatening way. But it is incredible that working, our relationship has been great, incredibly collaborative, right? Look, you guys, I got a property in this market. Just a year ago, Phoenix real estate market was the hottest real estate market in the world. I got a property at a discount. I did, right? Does not really happen, right? So we were able to get a discount, and we were able to negotiate on personal properties. That's where they got like $150,000 of personal property for, $25,000. That's the real deal to be had. But it's understanding all the moving pieces. And my point here, you guys, is I'm working with someone who already was kind of apprehensive. She's like, you were my negotiation instructor. I'm intimidated. But we, through being skilled professionals, were able to completely reframe it, have a collaborative relationship that is truly a win-win for both sides. My clients are ecstatic. The seller is getting everything he wanted, is really ecstatic. It's possible to do that. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways is, what do? You ask questions. You engage people. You just genuinely seem interested in the other side.
Yeah.
That's good. And as we're talking about that, you talked a little bit in the beginning about the difference in our markets. Of course, we're not in a short sale. You don't need to be a short sale negotiation expert right now. We're in a market where seller, it's a seller's market, and where, buyers are making offers on multiple properties before they get the property that they want. Now, whether you represent the seller or you represent the buyer, some agents might feel like, well, I really don't need any negotiation skills because all I got to do is just put the property on the market. Or, negotiation skills aren't going to help me because people are throwing dollars, and dollars make more sense. Oh, no pun intended. But what can you say to those agents that really feel like negotiation skills aren't going to help me right now, on either side? What can you speak to that?
Well, first of all, let me answer it. Let me answer your question twofold. First of all, one of the biggest problems we have in the United States, period, is a fundamental misunderstanding of what negotiation is. And the reason is because we don't have to negotiate as Americans. Right? I mean, think about it. Be honest. When do we negotiate as Americans? Usually, number one answer in my class is buying a car, right? Ew, right? That's haggling, and it feels gross, and it's games, and it's this and that. And even though interesting studies have been done, right? In the 90s, all the car dealers thought that negotiation at the dealership level was going away. Do you guys remember Saturn and no haggle, lowest price, blah, blah, blah? Well, they found that consumers didn't like it. Even though they were getting better deals than when they were haggling, right? Because they were getting to the bottom dollar right away, they felt like they were leaving something on the table, which is back to that whole thing of how much of negotiation is psychological. 90% is attitude, right? So we don't use negotiation skills like, for example, people in the developing world would, right? Where it's expected for everything. So as a result, we don't understand what negotiation actually is. Like, am I negotiating with my student who's the listing agent on this cross sale yes, we're negotiating, but does it feel gross and nasty? And is it games? Absolutely not, right? So just reframing and understanding that everything is a negotiation. But number two, I recently had a very interesting conversation with someone. And the conversation went like this. She runs a very successful relocation business for real estate professionals, right? And Bergen, I'm sure you know this, Phoenix is blowing up right now because we're still relatively inexpensive, like compared to areas that California, Seattle, that people are moving out of, right? But number two, we are experiencing legit economic growth, not speculative. So just to give you two data points, and this is from this agent that I was talking to, Intel is building the largest Intel plant in the world right now in Phoenix, Arizona. They already have one here. They're building an even bigger one. And Taiwan Semiconductor is also doing the same, right? So the influx of high-paying executive jobs, white-collar jobs, is phenomenal, and it's only going to continue. But this is the question she asked me, right? And now get this, Jerry, and I thought it was so profound. She goes, so she goes, most of my best clients have MBAs, right? They're very well educated. Mm-hmm. And she goes, what am I supposed to do? Sit across the table from them and go, oh, you studied an MBA, right? You probably had a negotiation class. Yes, of course. Show me an MBA program right now that doesn't have a negotiation mm-hmm. module in it, right? And she goes, so what am I supposed to say? Oh, I'm really good too. I practice at garage sales, you know? She goes, I look like an idiot if I cannot say every single person on my team is a trained negotiator just like you. That's why you can trust me, right?
That's good.
Big deal in terms of establishing credibility. And back to the question, right? The question that you guys opened with, how many agents have any kind of negotiation training? Not many. And by the way, this is interesting too. I was talking to somebody else last week, and she made the following statement. She goes, just because it's a seller's market, it doesn't mean that you have the skills to do the best job for the seller as a listing agent. And you guys, we see that, don't we? As buyer's agents, when we see that, some agents are like, you know what they're doing, and you're like, ooh, that hurts, but you're good. You're representing your seller so good, like I respect that. And some agents, you're like, really? I'll take it, but surely the seller expected something better than this, right? So I think the biggest problem we have is we just don't truly understand what negotiation is, or how applicable it is, or how relevant it is, which is why I forget who it was. It was Steve or Jurgen. One of you guys led. It's in the top 3. It's in the top 3, and some people say that not only is negotiation skill the most relevant to buyers and sellers right now, it is going to be the biggest differentiator in the future that separates the facilitators, right? We're worried about iBuyers. You guys, iBuyers have been around for a long time, right? Wholesalers. It's people who would rather take less money for greater convenience. That's been around. They just reinvented it, the field, and redefined it, right? That's always going to be there. And we're going, oh my God, oh my God. No, people are still saying the facilitators, they make no money. Who cares? But the advocates, the people that really skillfully represent, that's going to be the biggest differentiator between agents that make a lot of money and ones who don't, and negotiation being the most important skill of all that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Just, you're speaking truth to power.
I try.
And Steve, you got one?
Yeah, you know, when we're talking about negotiations and the small percentage of the brokers who are out there who are licensed, who haven't maybe taken the class, and with as long as you've been in business, Greg, what are some of those things that you see in the marketplace and dealing with agents maybe that are lacking, that maybe just give the people who have taken your class a benefit? I mean, what is it that you see in most of those agents that they could use some help with?
Well, I'll talk about the most relevant one right now. Like one of the biggest pain points. Every private client I talk to, every association that I talk to, they're like, do you have anything for us on multiple offers? Agents are pulling their hair out and so on. And the answer is, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because the rookie agents, the rookie negotiators have a single tool in a multiple offer situation: money.
Nice.
Right? But here's the problem, you guys. You can go, I got a dog right here under my table, right, on my feet. My dog can compete with money. She can shovel money at the problem. That's not a skill, right? But and if that's the only if that's the only skill that a real estate professional has, like how are you going to represent me? Oh, I'm really good at taking your money and throwing it at every single problem that comes up. Wow. Talk about a crappy value proposition, right? versus the best agents I am seeing that are winning multiple offer situations. They're competing on everything, not just money. Yes, money is a part of it, but they're competing on everything, right? There's a local agent here. She's phenomenal. She was made to sell real estate. She's extremely successful. I think like 3 or 4 years in the business, already making over $350,000 a year. And that's Arizona money, right? That's like for you guys, that's 2 sales in Seattle. In Arizona, you kind of have to, sell a bit of real estate to make that kind of an income, but she's doing great. And she knows that it really irritates me when she sends me a certain kind of a text message. And the text message is a screenshot of listing agents texting her going, I am team you. I hope we get to work together. And I'm like, what? How do you do that? And she does that by being all the different things we talk about. She's extremely professional. She's friendly. She does what she's going to do, right? She's shrewd. She's savvy. She's all these things. And she gets listing agents rooting for her. Well, guess what, you guys? That's negotiation. That's absolutely negotiation. And Steve, what I am seeing right now is the agents that are winning the multiple offer scenarios are the better negotiators, period. Not the people who have the most money.
In line with what you're saying there, Greg, one of the things, like feedback after we did the class, we did both the CNE class and we did the MCNE, the Master Certified Negotiation Expert class. And we actually had a lot of the brokers in our offices take those. And we have another class coming up, which we'll talk about as we wrap up. But one of the first and foremost, the feedback we got was that you mentioned like a 90-10 in terms of attitude or the way that you carry yourself in, like the confidence that they would go into a situation with raised immensely. And we had more than a couple brokers just say, hey, you know what? I was able to take the negotiation away from what you're talking about now, which is price, and find the thing that actually mattered to the other party. And we negotiated on an issue that wasn't about price, where everybody else was talking about price. We were talking about the thing that really mattered. And that's how they ended up getting the transaction. Mm-hmm. But to do something like that, this is related to the question I asked last time about that improvisation, the other thing too. To get to the point of knowing how to do that well and also to read the room, part of that comes into doing practice, right? And for you to get as skilled in terms of what you do and your encouragement, how do you practice, and how much practice went into helping to create the confidence and the ability to step into a situation and understand how to read that room or pull through the right tactic or I shouldn't even say tactic, but the right way to communicate with the other party?
In boxing, they say to rest is to rust. And I think it's the same. I think it's the same anywhere, right? Including, unfortunately, negotiation training. I read that Ray Dalio book. It's called Principles. Kind of a weird read, especially because I'm like a huge audiobook guy, right? Like that's my thing. Is I wake up at 5:30 and I go and I walk with the dog and I listen to books and things like that. And in a car and while I travel and blah blah blah. Principles is kind of weird in audio format. It probably reads better in book format. So if you're a book person, you probably do better. Anyway, my point is, it was kind of an interesting book. Gave me a lot of food for thought. But one of the things Dalio says that I think is very profound, says it takes 18 months of deliberate effort before a change is natural, right? 18 months. Look, you guys, you got a bad habit that you're trying to quit. You got an 18 months journey, right? You're trying to get fit or healthy, something like that. It will be 18 months. And the bad thing, Jurgen, that we're talking about right now is the same with negotiation, right? I have a funny story. When I took my second Harvard class, there was a real estate agent there. Usually it's like attorneys and and corporate people and whatever. But there was a real estate agent there from Atlanta, I believe, and her and I sat at the same table, right? And she's like, "Oh, I've taken the program before," and I'm like, "Oh, I teach negotiation training, and I've been a member of Harvard's Negotiation Institute for years and years and years, blah blah blah." And we're doing an exercise, and it's not me. whoever's is someone not muted? Is that what's going on there?
You got it now.
Someone at the casino. Hey, did someone get the 3 sevens? So anyway, me and this agent, we're doing this exercise, and we look at each other. We're like, let's screw the other team. Like, come on, right? I know the exercise. It's a variation on prisoner's dilemma, and we're like, let's give it to them, and it backfires spectacularly, and we end up getting a worse result than the rest of the class. And afterward, I'm sitting there and I'm going like, what just happened? Like, on what planet does it make sense that me, the guy who knew that what I was doing is wrong, talked this other person who also knew that it was wrong, and we did it and it backfired and we got the worst results? The point is, you guys, you can make mistakes. I don't care how long you've been studying. It just takes. But the best part, what I see in my students is once they have that,
some results from the
and once they start getting those better results, right? Now they're like, okay, now I'm all in. What is the next thing that I can change? So, but to start with, it can be 18 months of just getting into the groove, and we do provide some things that you can practice, like the scripts exercises and things that we do in class. So yeah, we have some of those solutions.
That's awesome.
That is good.
I mean, not awesome. Like 18 months is a long time, but
I know, right?
that deliberate practice.
18 months goes by really fast. Just imagine the last 18 months. It's like gone.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
here's
I could have had 2 kids in that time.
that would have been a miracle, Jurgen. You having okay. Anyway, whole nother show.
Well, you're having 2 kids in the next 18 months? Does Donna know this?
And Donna doesn't want to hear that.
Wow. Well, before we wrap up, I just wanted to mention how this, literally has helped. And I can say it's helped agents in our office. It's actually helped me. And not going into, too much detail, but just mentioning, there are some things like you've got like scripts, and you've got scripts, and some people will frown on scripts, but scripts are amazing, and internalizing and learning scripts. And not only do you have scripts, you have which script do you like the best that you'd like to use? I mean, and being comfortable with learning scripts. Also techniques like you've got a buyer resume, so I can tell you that personally learning specific scripts that really resonated with me, and also implementing a buyer resume on a multiple offer situation where I was representing a buyer that was contingent on purchasing another home. That was about a year ago, in a market where if you got a contingent seller, you might as well just forget it. That's what people were thinking. And we were able to get a home and compete with a cash buyer that was non-contingent. And the agent specifically messaged me saying, I love how you represented your client. I loved the information that you provided with me about them and their history, the lender, and all of the things that you sent. Loved it. And it just exemplifies the way that this transaction is going to go. I mean, and I was like, woohoo, So, I mean, just, and the scripts definitely help. So just saying, those are a couple different techniques that were discussed during this course, and loved it.
Davina, can I add one other thing as you're doing this wrap up is, Greg, in addition to scripts, one of the things I think that's really great about your class in specific, that's really different from a book or a non-interactive teaching, is some of the exercises that were done, because it was through some of those exercises that I think aha moments were occurring, because it wasn't just talked in necessarily a theory, but there was a lot of thought, and then there was discussion, and then a lot of the revelation was allowed to occur in a natural way. But you wouldn't have had, or I don't think we would have had the same impact if we didn't go through the exercise. I can read it, but to go through that thought process with others was really, really good.
Yeah.
by design, right? By design.
Absolutely.
Harvard's program is their goal, their baseline goal is no more than 50% lecture. The rest is all exercises for that reason, Jurgen, that you're saying, because that's when that kind of gets in your head and you're like, oh, yeah.
So we definitely, like, I'd like to take the class again, like get a refresh, because it's been, I feel like it's been a couple of years. It was last year during COVID that we took the class, and we're able to stack up during that year on some good clock hours. But feels like it's even time for a refresh. And
well, I'll tell you what. Sorry, Davian, I interrupted. And this is completely unscripted and unprepared, and I hope I'm not stepping on any toes or anything like that. But how about this? If you are a John L. Scott student that has taken CNE in the past, you can be my guest at the class. Just email me. It's Greg@the or email anybody here. They can get the email to me, and you can be my guest. Meaning you can audit the class as my guest if you're a past student.
Awesome. So we can take the class and get the knowledge at no cost.
Yes.
Wow.
Correct.
Or the refresh. Absolutely.
Yes. Refresh.
Yes.
All right.
If you're a new student, you still have to pay, but
yeah. That's
so
fantastic.
Thank you, Greg. That is awesome. That is really awesome, and that was a surprise. So thank you very much for doing that for our guys. And then the class is actually coming up. It's October 18th through do you want to share when the class is? And then I think we have a link to log in, and it's open to everyone.
Yes. The class is October 18th, 19th, and 20th. The format is we teach it over the reason we teach it over 3 days, because live class is actually 2 days, but we are very aware of the Zoom fatigue, which is a huge problem. That's something that's being studied right now. We all jumped into Zoom, right? But we didn't realize how difficult it can be. So it has been said that if you teach for more than 2.5 hours, you just don't have the attention span. Like that's too much. So we teach for 5 hours a day. It's 2.5 from like 8:30 to noon. Then we take a 1 hour lunch break, and then we go from 1 to 3:30. And we'll do that on the 18th, 19th, and the 20th. And yes, the class is approved for distance learning, 15 hours of CE credits through Seattle King County Realtors. So obviously there is less expensive ways to get your CE hours, but that's a nice little perk. So that's the format.
Worth the money, 100%, because it will pay for itself 10 times over, just in one transaction.
And just as importantly, since what we do in real estate is looking for ways we can serve, it honestly allows us to better represent anybody that we're trying to help. And that's where it really is. I mean, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've had some seasoned agents who have said, I wish I'd taken this sooner, right? But I've also had some brand new agents for the reason that you just stated, Jurgen, right? When I was a brand new agent, I was conscious of, am I really truly providing the value to my clients, right? And training was one of the ways that I short-circuited that and got there faster, because I could say, well, no, I don't have a lot of business right now, but I've taken the time and I took all these classes so that I can be the best agent and confidence that I bring value to you.
Yeah. And Davian, I know Greg's got a thing here at 9. Do we want to do the trivia answer while we've got him on?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the trivia, and then we can hop on with our week.
And
so, trivia question: what percentage of licensed professionals have had any kind of negotiation training? So I don't think we had any answers in the comments section, but
Donna did. She said A.
Okay, Donna said A. Donna, I think we gave that away too. Less than 5%, 10%, 22%, or 13%. Greg, what's the answer?
The answer is A. And by the way, in line with multiple choice tests, right? The longest answer is usually the right one. So there you go.
Hey, that's is that for real?
It is. It is, yes. The other one is all of the above is usually the right answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you recall, when we take the test at the end of CNE, anytime all of the above is the answer, it's the right answer. And we didn't even know that. When we wrote the test, we just but yes, less than 5% of real estate professionals have had any kind of negotiation training. Back to the opening, you guys, right? The clients are saying, this is what we want. And agents are saying, meh, not good. Not good for the industry, except the ones that are taking the class, because I think they're the ones that are making the most money anyway.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really appreciate that. Well, Greg, really appreciate your time. I know you hung on with us through 9. You held on longer than we just enjoy talking with you. I mean, you're just such a good guest. Really appreciate you.
Yes, and we'll go ahead and we'll throw up. There is an invite link. I believe we have it. If we don't have it right now, we will definitely get it posted up for the actual registration for the CNE class that is coming up on October 18th. So if you're interested in joining or logging, taking that course, definitely join us. It's on Zoom, so there are no restrictions.
Nope.
You don't even have to wear your mask.
No, right?
Not even.
You don't. Just make sure you're dressed on the top, at least.
That's all,
right?
yeah.
All right.
So
thank you, Greg.
so much, Greg.
Thanks,
for
Greg.
joining
We will
me.
see you very soon.
Yes, looking
Sit
forward
down.
to it.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. All right.
Always good.
Yes, so good.
And you know what? Even going through the CNE class, every time, whether when I say I feel like I always learn something, and it's not as though I haven't heard something before, but in a new context or a new environment, sometimes what you hear hits a little bit differently. It gives a new way to feel about it or how you might implement it. Or every time I hear Greg, I'll always pick up something, if it's not new, at least a little different in terms of what we're going through.
Yeah, he definitely is wise and has a great wealth of knowledge, but he's a great instructor and teacher, and so easy to listen to him and glean things from him. You just really enjoy him, really do.
And Davian, I would agree. The way it's the class is put together, it's great in structure too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Great instructor.
all right.
Great instructor.
I was doing a pun and I just
I
did the
didn't
pun
get it.
too well.
It went over my head.
Oh, when you were saying instructor, you accidentally said instructor first, and then correct back. But oh well.
I didn't even hear
That's
myself change.
I caught you, David.
God,
No.
it's great instruction.
So good.
Now I'm laughing. I get it. Oh, man.
Well, Steve, for the last bit here, we just have a couple things going on during the week, and then we got a big, good, productive week ahead of all of us, right?
We do. So this week we've got, what do we got coming up this week? We've got September 21st, tomorrow, Realtor Safety class at our John L. Scott Olympia with Amit Baruch. So great class. There's 3 clock hours, and it's $30. You can go to our John L. Scott Talent page to register for this class.
We need more, and just chiming in on that real quick, we need, there's a minimum, and we need about 8 more agents to register for this class. So if you're on the fence, please there's a link. Jared, if you can pop that link in there, or we can get that link in for you to register. Please register. We'll need registration confirmations here shortly, so that we can continue to host the class.
And it's it really is great, and it's also really relevant. If you need any, if you want to refresh yourself, check out last week's Talent Talk. Amit is fantastic, but way more importantly, you're going to walk away with knowledge that you can actually utilize, and just a brand new level of awareness about things going on around you, so you can keep yourself safe.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. Also coming up this week, we have our business meeting on Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. For all of our brokers, all of John L. Scott brokers. Also this week we have Forms Friday at 9 to 10, as always, every week. And then wrapping up for this week, we have our market update this Friday coming up. And that's with Jurgen and Davina, and they are giving you everything that's going on in the real estate market, the local real estate market, giving you the new listings that's coming into John L. Scott, and also the open houses that are scheduled for this weekend. So tune in.
And Barb had a question with Greg and the C&E class. And for the registration, it would be a audit if you're part of the John L. Scott family and you have taken the C&E before, that just let him know.
Yeah.
And
Email.
we will get you in for an audit.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
email.
fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Email Greg at thereni, THERENI.com. Greg at thereni.com. And then he can help you with that.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Right there. Okay.
All right.
So
well,
now it's time.
Looking at my watch, it's about that time.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. I always enjoy. I personally enjoy Greg a lot, but I mean, just being able to talk to so many of our colleagues and affiliates, and just getting a little more personal with them, understanding that, and then the value that they're bringing into real estate and into not only our fellow real estate agents' lives, but also to a lot of our clients. Just a lot of fun.
It is, definitely. And looking forward to another wonderful week, and to see you guys all back here at the end of the week, and then again on Monday. So in between time, we are going to go out with BEBOLD. Who's going to count us down today?
Either way is fine.
I'll take us out like we always do it, how we always wrap it up with the Big Be Bold. All right, you guys. 1, 2, 3. Be bold.
Be bold. All right. Everybody have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.